والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. رب زدني علما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. زين للناس حب الشهوات من النساء والبنين والقناطير المقنطرة من الذهب والفضة والخيل المسومة والأنعام والحرث ذلك متاع الحياة الدنيا والله عنده حسن المآب. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So in the previous verses we've been hearing about the hostilities of the disbelievers and some of the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concerning jihad, or struggling against those who would oppose Iman and oppose Deen. And what's the underlying cause of their opposition? Why are they fighting against Islam? Why are they fighting against Allah and His Rasul? Why are they fighting against and opposing Islam? Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the root cause, the underlying cause, which is زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَالْبَنِينَ وَالْقَنَاطِيرِ الْمُقَنطَرِ مِنَ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ وَالْخَيْلِ الْمُسَوَّمَةِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ وَالْحَرْثِ. That in the hearts there is a desire, there is a love of the things which people desire. Women, particularly for the men, obviously, probably the most, foremost and most prevalent desire for men is women. And thereafter, the outcome of the love of women, which is progeny, children, particularly the male children for the Arabs and for some of the civilizations. In any case, progeny. And then the heaps of wealth, gold, silver, and these are prototypes, and under them they come sort of genuses, if you will, of prototypes, and under them come various branches of those things, different types of wealth. Today we have dollars, we have currencies, we have cryptocurrencies, we have stocks and bonds. So all of that comes under the heading of dhahab al-fidda, currencies, things that we trade with. Khayl musawwam, in the previous times it was the horses and the cattle, and still for some that's the case. Otherwise, a new Mercedes or a new Rolls Royce or a private plane, all of these things, right? And of course, the livestock and agriculture, and still these are manifestations of wealth. And so the disbelievers, they go overboard with this. They make this the object of their life. So because that is the objective of their life, and that the material acquisitions are the objective, and just as they teach you in business school. I mean, as I've probably mentioned, you might have been hearing me mention, it's not from me, but it's a synthesis of what is really out there. You basically have two camps in the world. You have a camp which bases their existence and their objectives on the material existence, what is all around them, what they see, as we just heard from Surah Baqarah. يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, that is the camp of Iman. And opposed to them, يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْمُشَاهَدَةِ يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنْ حَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. So all they know and all that they're concerned with is what they see in front of them and what can be acquired and achieved before death. Our premise is that we believe in the unseen, totally different. And our objective would be to prepare our betterment primarily and as the underlying cause of all of our efforts for eternal success in the Akhirah. So, because that's all they're interested in, then they're going to make all efforts, and they're going to, anyone who comes in the path, or anything that comes in the path of the acquisition of these things, they're going to oppose that. And this is the basis of which most of the world is following today. If you go to any business school, go to Harvard Business School, go to MIT, wherever, what do they teach you? What is the purpose of business? To maximize shareholder value. it's a fancy way of saying to make money, to make a lot of it, right? Now, that's their objective. So we have a different objective. We want to please Allah and we want to gain akhirat. Okay, still, we find in every heart of every human being, basically, if he's a human, he has desire for these things. Muslims do, non-Muslims do. Okay? So, number one, what is the why? Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned zuyyina. That has been adorned. So who has adorned that in the hearts of the people? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator. For wisdom. First wisdom is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a master plan. And in that master plan, there's transactions, there's interactions, right? And there's building of society, there's building of the world, ta'mir ad-dunya. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a master plan. The desire for these things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed to develop the master plan. Otherwise, for example, the love of women. If people were not, attracted, if men were not attracted to women, then what fool would, undertake, marriage and all the problems and difficulties that are attributed to it and connected with it, if it wasn't for that, that motivating desire to do so. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has his hikmah. Otherwise, there's a lot of difficulties and problems that everybody knows about that comes out of marriage. And the children themselves, it's going to be a lifelong effort to support them and, and spend on them and then even look after them throughout their lives and then the ensuing progeny. Those who are grandfathers, we thought that, after our children grow up and they marry, we're free now. Then the grandchildren come. And then we find that the grandparents are more connected to the grandchildren sometimes than actually the children. So it's an ongoing process. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hikmah. So Muslims have this desire and non-Muslims have the desire. Wealth also. The acquisition of wealth, as we said, this is a test and trial in this world to test us in how we will transact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with one another. Right? And also, since the hereafter is full of these things as well, the women of the akhirah, the paradise of the akhirah, the wealth of the akhirah, if we didn't have a taste of it and a desire for it here, then perhaps we wouldn't even be making an effort to acquire it eternally in the hereafter. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom, He's placed that there. Now the test is who gets, carried away with it and makes it his objective and who remains within the Islamic moderation. Nabi alayhi salam also used to say, of three things of your dunya are also made beloved to me. And number one, women also. Women, the fragrances, however, qurrat aini fi salat. But the most comfort that I find in anything in this world is salat, connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So, the whole thing is that, yes, the love and desire of these things have been placed for hikmah and wisdom, and we don't deny these things. Therefore, asceticism is not part of Islam. Nabi Sallallahu used to also appreciate good things, but he didn't make an effort to acquire them. And when he did get them, more than his need, he would distribute. And so was the history of our pious people who also had much wealth. We had billionaires also. However, they didn't use the billions on themselves. They used what was necessary for them, and the rest of those billions were distributed to the needy, the poor, the orphans, the widows, etc., and all worthy causes. So these things are there for a reason. Our love of these things and our desire for these things is not wrong. It's not bad. It's there, but it's a test. Who's going to, remain within the understanding that these are necessities of life, not objects of life? Use them in moderation, and use them also as a plantation for the hereafter. Gharsul akhirah. And who's going to get carried away and making the objective of life and go past the limits? And going past the limits causes all of these difficulties that we see in the world. As Nabi ﷺ said, love of the world is the basis of all greed and all problems and all sins that we find manifest in the world. So, controlling that love and directing it in a positive way, that's what Islam is all about. It's the natural religion and the religion of moderation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand that and practice it. Amin.